One of my favorite sayings is that your beliefs create your reality. Let's do a little test together to show how this works. Okay, if you aren't driving right now, I want you to play along. Look around the room or wherever you are right now and pick out everything you see that is brown. Look around, take a couple seconds. Okay, now I want you to close your eyes and think of everything you saw that was red. Now, obviously, you saw a lot more brown. Why? Because you were looking for it. Now, open your eyes and look around for everything that is red. I'll bet you found a lot more red this time, right? Why is that? Well, of course, because you were looking for red. Now, I'll bet when you were looking for brown, you also picked out things that were tan and beige so you could be more successful. And when you were looking for red, you found things that were probably a little bit more pink or burgundy, and you called them red just so you could feel more successful. Now, this might seem like a silly little exercise to you, but if you understand it, it can be one of the most powerful mindset shifts that you can ever make, and it will change your life. If you think bad stuff happens to you and you have horrible luck and people are evil and stupid and all the other negative BS you believe to be true, then you are going to look for more of that junk to prove your negative belief system to be true. Now, if you believe the opposite to be true, if you believe you have God's favor on your life and the best is yet to come, and that you have good luck and good fortune, and you attract money and you attract good people into your life, and that people are good and people are trustworthy, then that is what you are going to look for. And that's what you're going to find, and it's what you're going to focus on, and you will change your reality. You'll also change the trajectory of your life. You'll also change the future of your children and your children's children and generations to come by passing on and instilling that positive belief system in them. Change your beliefs, and you will make 2026 your best year ever. Welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast, where we provide education and inspiration to help guide you on your journey to look better, feel better, and most importantly, heal better. Hello, and welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Kevin Schultz, and today we are going to talk about the simple things you can do to make 2026 your best year ever. We're going to look at all 5 pillars of Foundational Health 365, and my goal for today's podcast is to give you what I consider to be the most important aspects of each pillar, not only from a knowledge and understanding standpoint, but also really the biggest things that are going to simply move the needle forward when it comes to action steps that can and will make a dramatic difference in your overall health. If you're serious about making 2026 your best year ever and having that last for the rest of your life, you have to change your belief system first. The number one thing you can do to change your belief system is to stop believing and saying that being healthy is hard and being healthy is expensive and eating well is expensive and it's not fun and that good food just doesn't taste good and all the other things that people say about being healthy. None of that is true unless you believe it is true. And not only is most of that not true in any way, shape, or form, when it comes right down to it, when people are being honest with themselves, those are excuses that people use. It's easy to say being healthy is hard and working out is hard and it's so expensive, otherwise I would do it. In other words, it's an excuse. So what does it look like to live a foundational health 360 life by incorporating the 5 pillars and changing your belief system? So today we're going to talk about nutrition and motion and hydration and recovery and intention. And again, I'm going to give you simple action steps that you can apply right away. But part of that is changing your belief system. Pillar number 1 is nutrition. My recent podcast guest episode with Jordan Rubin. If you haven't listened to that yet, definitely go back and listen to that one. It was just our very last podcast. fantastic interview with Jordan Rubin, who is America's biblical health coach. And one of my favorite things, even though he has a ton of incredible information, one of my favorite things, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, is what he talks about all the time, which is ultimately what I talk about. He just says it better. Eat real, unprocessed foods in a form that is good for you and the way that God intended. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Ultimately, it comes down to the old saying, you are what you eat. What I mean by that is that your cells throughout your body are constantly dying off. Every single day, you have cells that are dying off at different rates in different organs and parts of the body, but they're always dying off. But what happens when a cell dies off? A new one replaces it. The food and supplements that you consume are literally the building blocks for these cells. So this is great news because you get to decide if you're going to build new cells from processed junk food like potato chips and cookies and synthetic supplements that you buy at the convenience store or soda or energy drinks, or are you going to have those building blocks come from things like apples and vegetables and grass-fed beef and pasture-raised eggs and high-quality supplements and drinking filtered water instead of soda? You can literally build a new you in the new year by changing what you eat. You want to start with one of the things I talk about all the time, so simple, which is building your meals around protein. The average person doesn't get enough protein on a daily basis, and that protein is what feeds our muscle. It's what feeds our bones and allows our cells to grow and flourish. And most people aren't getting enough. And by the way, good quality protein does not come from a protein bar from the convenience store. Those things are the polar opposite of good quality protein, and they're loaded with all kinds of toxins and preservatives as well. If I use an example of good quality protein and what Jordan Rubin talks about all the time, which is getting food in a form that is good for you and the way that God intended, I'll use the example of a grass-fed steak versus a grain-fed steak. So if you have a platter with one of each on there, grass-fed steak, grain-fed steak, you have one, the grass-fed steak, that is health-promoting, reduces inflammation in your body. The other, a grain-fed steak, because it's grain-fed and usually pumped full of antibiotics and hormones, that's an inflammation-causing steak. And if you don't know this, you don't want to cause inflammation in your body. That leads to sickness and disease. And hey, if you're not ready for grass-fed, I understand. And I promise you, a regular steak, even grain-fed from the grocery store, is better than sandwich meat. So just trying to focus on whole foods, real food, the way that they were intended is always going to be better than something that is highly processed. And then when you look at carbs, carbs should be fruits and vegetables. That is what God intended for our carbohydrates, not processed potato chips and crackers and cereals that talk about all the amazing fiber and carbs that are in there for you, or processed bread. Those are the opposite of what you want to be eating. Fruits and vegetables, the way that God intended, those are the carbs that you want to focus on. And that's it. It's really not that hard, right? So if you focus on getting real food, no matter where that comes from, and I'm talking about like even if it's not organic versus being organic, if you're not ready for that, then just make that simple change. If you change your beliefs, it's not only not hard to eat well, in fact, it's absolutely easy. Real foods, this is one of the easy parts, real foods don't have ingredient labels. So how easy is that? It makes your shopping easier. You don't have to read ingredient labels and try to figure things out. When you're eating fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and eggs and meat, they don't have ingredient labels, and it makes your life easier, and it will result in better health for you. I guarantee it. Nutridyne is my number one choice for the vast majority of my family supplements. I'm a huge fan of nearly everyone taking what I call the foundational 4 supplements: a multivitamin, a spore-based probiotic, omega-3 fish oil, and vitamin D3 with K2. The large majority of people are deficient in many of these nutrients, and they are the building blocks to gut health, immune system strength, brain health, heart health, and every other aspect of your health. Don't fall into the trap of chasing symptoms with supplements, and instead start to rebuild your health with the foundational 4. We partnered with Nutridyne so that you can save 15% on every order, and not just with the foundational 4, but all of your other supplements as well. Go to foundationalhealth365.com, click on Shop Brands, and then Nutridyne, set up your account, and you're all set to automatically get 15% off all orders. Now let's get back to the Foundational Health Podcast. Pillar number 2 is motion. This includes things like having good posture, going for walks on a daily basis, going through a daily, hopefully, stretch routine, or going above and beyond that and doing some cardiovascular exercise like biking and running or elliptical machines that is great for your heart and for your lungs. Also, resistance training, using weights or weight machines for your muscles, or body weight for that matter, doing things like push-ups and pull-ups. That all falls into the category of motion. Some of the action steps here, just to keep this really, really simple. If you go for daily walks, that alone absolutely can be life-changing if you're not moving enough already. So daily walks, super easy to do. Resistance training. Ideally, you're doing that 3 to 5, 6 days per week to build healthy muscles and bones that will increase longevity. And then, more important, doesn't just increase longevity, but it increases the quality of your life. And if you're not ready, like you're not resistance training at all right now, you're not ready to incorporate certainly 6 days a week, but even 2, 3 days a week, well, guess what? 1 day is better than 0. There's also something that is called exercise snacks. I'm a huge fan of exercise snacks. So this is especially for the person that's not ready to incorporate a workout routine into their life, or you just find like right now you're just unable to do that with kids and work life and everything else that you have going on. There are so many studies that are done on what are called exercise snacks. Perfect example for me, I love doing things like pull-ups. I've got a pull-up bar in my door frame at work and at home of my office. I also love doing jumping jacks. So I'll take a 15, or after working for 15 minutes on some paperwork, I'll take a 30-second break and I'll do some jumping jacks. Doesn't have to be either one of those. It can be anything. If you have a staircase at work or at home, walking up and down that stairs 3 or 4 or 5 times just to get your heart rate up. Those exercise snacks, when done on a regular basis throughout the day, throughout the week, they're incredibly, incredibly powerful. So don't fall into the trap of, I don't have time, therefore I do nothing. Just look for opportunities to move more, to do things like exercise snacks. And I guarantee as you do more of that stuff, you're going to be more prone to incorporate a workout routine into your life when the time is right. So again, with pillar number 2, you have to change your beliefs. Something is better than nothing, and exercise and movement doesn't have to be hard. Don't fall into the trap of listening to the influencer on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook that tells you you have to put in the hard work. Certainly, the harder work you put in, the better results you're going to get. But it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be time consuming. And it absolutely can be fun. And it can also be family fun. So my family has incorporated all kinds of things into our what we call Make Health Your Hobby, and how we do motion as a family, whether it's a workout, whether it's going for a walk. So make it fun, look for opportunities to do that, and get rid of the mindset that it has to be hard. Pillar number 3, hydration. Drinking the right amount of water, the right kind of water, and drinking it at the right time of day is key here. Hydration is not just drinking water. Certainly that's part of it, but hydration, by definition, is the body's ability to absorb that water. Every single cell, every single tissue and organ requires enough water on a daily basis to function at its normal level. So, what that means is if it requires enough to function at a normal level, then if you're not giving it enough, it's not going to function at a normal level. It's going to function at a below normal level. So, I can't stress this enough. People talk about not drinking water all of the time to me, whether I'm having a health consultation with them, exchanging emails, Facebook messages, or talking to them one on one while I'm doing an adjustment in my chiropractic office. They talk about it like it's no big deal at all. Like, oh, yeah, I'm just not a water drinker. I maybe drink a glass a day, but I've just really never done that. Like, I just don't really like the taste of water. And I can't stress enough, again, how big of a deal that is. It is a really, really big deal. We know that dehydration, not drinking enough water, not hydrating, meaning that water getting into the cells of your body properly, in the short term, it causes a loss of energy. So if you're wondering, man, why do I not have any energy? Well, are you drinking enough water? That might be the problem, or at least part of the problem. Do you have a loss of focus? We know that is a huge short-term effect of being dehydrated. Do you have difficulty sleeping? Well, guess what? Your brain can't shut down properly and go into the deep stages of sleep if it's dehydrated. And the brain is one of the first things to get dehydrated, which is why you have a loss of energy, loss of focus, and difficulty sleeping. And then it also, in the short term, has a huge effect on digestion. I have so many people that come to me with chronic constipation issues, and this is one of the first questions I ask. How much water are you drinking on a regular basis? And more often than not, they say, I just don't drink a whole lot of water. I don't know, I maybe get a couple glasses a day, and that is just nowhere near enough. Now, in the long term, we know that chronic dehydration leads to poor brain health because of its effect that it has on the brain. So it's linked to increases in dementia and Alzheimer's and other cognitive delay issues. Pretty big deal. We know that people that are dehydrated long term have an extreme difficulty with blood pressure regulation. We know that they have poor muscle and poor bone health. We know that they have problems regulating temperature in their body. We know that women that are, for instance, going through menopause will have extremely more hot flashes when they are not drinking enough water. It leads to digestive diseases. So not just the short-term chronic constipation, but also leads to digestive diseases because of the long-term effects it has on the body's inability to have a proper digestive process. We know that it also causes spinal and other joint problems. If you're not hydrating your joints, those joints are going to wear and tear. You're going to get more arthritis. You're going to get more disc degeneration in your spine. You're going to get more degeneration in your knee, which leads to knee replacements and shoulder replacements and spinal fusion surgeries because those discs have worn away. It's even linked to cancer and heart disease. And if you don't believe me, if you feel like I'm overstating this and going over the top, then I want you to Google or Chat GPT or whatever it is you use and put in "can dehydration cause?" and you put in whatever you want. And the answer is going to be yes, because we know dehydration, especially on a chronic basis, which is about 70% of Americans, dehydration can lead to anything going wrong in the body. So I mentioned at the beginning of this topic, the right amount, the right kind. Well, what is that? So the right amount is approximately, you don't have to be anal about this, approximately half your body weight in ounces of high quality water per day. What is high quality water? Well, the right kind is, in my opinion, the best water you can get in your home. There's lots of good water filters out there. If you want the best, it's Sentry water filters. We have those listed on our website for convenience, and it all comes down to the quality of carbon that they use versus the rest. But any filter is better than none. Like, you're better off going to Walmart and buying a Brita water filter than not using any filtration at all because tap water is loaded with so many toxins. Believe it or not, even they find residue of birth control pills and many other pharmaceutical drugs in tap water because they don't have the proper filtration systems to remove that stuff. But there's also fluoride and chlorine and other nasty chemicals that are not good for your body. So filter your water. That's what the right kind is. And then ideally, yes, bottled water, in my opinion, 90% of the time is going to be better than tap water. But ideally, you're not wasting your money on bottled water. It's an expensive and unnecessary cost. And you're ultimately what you're doing is you're just trading one toxin for another because now you have all of the plastics that break down in that bottled water unless you're buying, I think it's Pellegrino or whatever, the really expensive bottled glass water, which is also a waste of money compared to a one-time investment in a water filtration system. And the right time. What is the right time? So, sipping gradually throughout the day is ideally what you want to do because that increases absorption, which is, again, hydration. Hydration is the absorption of that water into your cells. If you're gulping it, then yes, you get some hydration, some absorption, but you're also just peeing a bunch of that out. Just goes right through you. Whereas if you are sipping gradually throughout the day, you're going to increase absorption and hydration rates. A few bonus tips. If you add electrolytes and things like fruits and greens drinks from Nutridyne, those things also will increase absorption rates for many different reasons. Plus, you're just getting good things into your body and it makes your water taste better, which you're going to be more likely to drink it when that's the case. And then getting a high quality stainless steel shaker cup or a glass water bottle. I personally use a ice shaker. And what you want to look for when you're getting a stainless steel water cup is there's different levels of stainless steel. This is not my area of expertise by any means, but I do know that you want to look for a stainless steel that is rated at 18.8. Changing your beliefs, just like we've talked about so far, changing your beliefs around water drinking is easy. Stop saying, I'm not a water drinker, and just start drinking more water. Get the right water bottle, set yourself up for success, get a water filtration, whatever it is that you need to do to set yourself up for success. But that starts with changing your beliefs. And part of that is knowing everything that we just talked about. Re-listen to that part on how important it is to hydrate your body on a daily basis, and then the detriments of being chronically dehydrated, which again, if you're chronically dehydrated, you're falling into the category of 70% of Americans, and that is not a category that you want to fall into. One of the very simplest things that you can do to improve your health: drink enough water at the right time, the right kind, the right amount throughout the day. Pillar number 4 is recovery. This is where healing takes place in our body. And it's the biggest thing that you can do to move the needle if you focus on the number one aspect of recovery, which is good quality sleep. There's, in my opinion, nothing outweighs good quality sleep, whether it is hydration, eating the right foods. You can be doing everything right, but if you are not sleeping well and focusing on sleep, everything goes out the window because your body can't heal. That's what sleep is all about. It is your body healing. There's a bunch of studies that show anywhere from like 70 to 85% of your body's actual healing. This is cells regenerating with new healthy cells that takes place during the deep stages of sleep. And time in bed is not quality sleep. So a lot of times people say like, well, I went to bed at 10 o'clock. I get up at 6 o'clock. I'm getting in 8 hours. Well, what are you doing in those 8 hours? Like, are you watching TV for the first hour? Are you reading a book, which is great and better than watching TV, but you're not sleeping? So time in bed is not sleep. So you want good quality sleep, and to have good quality sleep, there's just things that you have to do to set yourself up for that. So some of you who've listened to my podcast in the past know I talk about the 10-3-2-1-0 rule. And I'm going to just run through it really quickly here because I live by this rule and I think it's incredibly important. 10 hours before bed, cut off all caffeine. 3 hours before bed, no food or alcohol. 2 hours before bed, nothing stressful. And this is where you want to eliminate blue light, ideally. Wearing blue blocker glasses, which are just orange glasses. You can buy them almost anywhere now because they're popular, because there's so much science behind them. Putting filters on your phone, or ideally quit using your phone. An hour before bed, no screen time whatsoever. Shut the TVs down, shut off your computers, your tablets, your cell phone. Not only does that reduce stress, but it also eliminates blue light from entering your eyes, which screws up your deep sleep. And then 0 of the 10, 3, 2, 1, 0 is don't hit the snooze button in the morning. Set that alarm, set it across your room, put it outside of your room, something that forces you to actually get up, move, shut it off, and decreases the likelihood of you just rolling over, hitting the snooze button, and going back to sleep. Get up, start your day with all the new healthy habits that you're ready to incorporate in 2026, and not hitting the snooze button is a huge part of that. All of the things that we've talked about from the first three pillars, from nutrition and motion and hydration, they absolutely have a huge impact on your quality of sleep. And in addition to that, some bonus things that you can do that I personally am a huge fan of, depending on where you live and what time of year it is getting outside as much as humanly possible. Breathing fresh air while you're outside, walking barefoot on the Earth's surface, which I cannot do right now because we live in the frozen tundra. So, certainly not doing that outside on frozen ground right now. But the point is getting that when you can at the right time of year. You can also get your bare feet on cement and you can ground that way. Little side note, something I honestly hadn't thought about that a good friend of mine, Nathan, recently pointed out. If you have a garage floor like I do, which is concrete, but also has 3 inches of pink foam under there to keep it warmer, well, guess what? You're not grounding there. So ideally getting on some concrete like I have in my basement that doesn't have foam underneath it, that still allows you to get grounding. So getting some grounding in on a daily basis also increases your sleep quality. Letting sunlight into your eyes as early in the morning as possible and as much throughout the day as possible, as opposed to artificial blue light, is also going to improve your sleep quality. And then letting that sunlight hit your skin at the right time of year gets D3 production. I just learned this the other day. Like the D3 production that happens in 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight hitting your skin is really remarkable. So if you know anything about D3 supplements, they come in anything from like 1,000 IU up to usually 10,000 IU. And people are often told like, oh my gosh, 10,000 IU, my medical doctor said that's crazy high, that's way too much. Well, 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight directly on your skin in the middle of the day produces 20,000 IU of D3. So if 10,000 IU is toxic, why would our body produce 20,000 IU? Now, you're always going to be better getting D3 naturally by your body producing it through sunlight. But when you can't, when you're living in northern climates like I do, that is when supplementation comes in during the winter months. That D3 dramatically improves sleep quality. So all of those things that I mentioned will lead to something called balancing of your circadian rhythm, and that will absolutely result in better sleep, which results in better healing and better chances of you being able to incorporate all of those other things when you're well rested and you're feeling better. So change your beliefs when it comes to sleep as well. Recognize just how important, how critical it is. Make that an absolute that you are going to focus on getting better sleep. And all of those things that I just mentioned, like the walking outside, the getting sunlight in your eyes, the breathing fresh air, guess what? They're all free, they're all powerful, and they're all easy. So change your belief system. It doesn't have to be hard. Pillar number 5, intention. The biggest part of intention is what we've been focusing on, and that is your belief system. Intention is definitely, in my opinion, where the magic happens. It's where the magic happens when it comes to short term, but especially long term health changes. So if you have a daily focus on your long term health goal by feeding your mind on a regular basis that aligns with your goals, you're going to dramatically up your odds of those goals actually happening. Another thing that will help you stay focused on your health goal, this is something I've done for about 10 years now, and that is choosing your one word for the year. So, your one word, defining word for the year of 2026. So, the premise of this is really, really simple. So, instead of making a New Year's resolution that is hard to keep, and for most people, typically only involves one area of your life, and also for most people, their resolution is out the window by the end of January or February. So instead of doing that, instead of having this myopic view that you don't stick with, pray about one word that will guide your actions for the entire year. So, for example, my word for 2025 was lead. As a result of that, every action that I every action's kind of a overstatement. Most of the actions I took, whether at home or at work, was viewed through this lens of me being a leader, that I wanted to lead. I wanted to lead at a higher level. And I can tell you, just like it has in past years with different words, this made a huge difference in my life over the past year. So my word for 2026 is bold. And funny story, um, I every year this is something I incorporate with my family, which I highly recommend you do as well. Get your spouse on board if you have one, your significant other, your children. Get them on board. Have them also pray about that one word for their upcoming year. So I was telling my kids about this about a month ago, and my middle daughter Ava said, well, Dad, have you picked your word yet? And I said, yes, actually, I did. My word for next year is bold. And she, without skipping a beat, looks at me. She's like, that's a great word for you, Dad, because you're bald and you're old. Like, well, thanks, honey. So, here's a few tips you can do to stay focused on your one word so it doesn't become like an out of sight, out of mind. Because I do hear this from people all the time. Like, I don't even remember what my word for the year was. I know I chose one. So don't let that happen. Put sticky notes everywhere. I mean everywhere. I like when I started doing this, I don't have as many now, but when I started doing this, I had them stuck to the radio in my car, every single mirror throughout my house, on the refrigerator. So I still have them in multiple spots. I have them on computer screens at work, at home. Everybody at my work does this. We've got our one word attached to the mirror on a sticky note. So you want it everywhere, that constant reminder of what that word is that's going to guide your year. You can also do screensavers. I hear people doing that a lot. That's fantastic. This is really fun. You can Google your word and then click on images, and you'll get beautiful pictures of that word. Then you can print those out. You can hang those where you're going to see it on a daily basis. Anything you can do so that it's going to be in the front of your mind and something that you can focus on a regular basis is going to dramatically increase your odds of not only not forgetting that word, but focusing on it and having it guide every aspect of your life, not just the 5 pillars that we just went through, but every aspect of your life, from your relationships to your work life and every other part of your life. The inspirational and educational takeaways from today. Knowledge without action is powerless. So here are a couple of actionable takeaways from today's podcast. Change your beliefs by feeding your mind. So every time I hear this, I graduated from high school in 1992. If anybody is around that area, I guarantee you remember the song by In Vogue, which was Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow. So I always think of feed your mind and the rest will follow, because that's absolutely true. This is part of changing that belief system. If you feed your mind with good things through podcasts and audiobooks and what you're reading on a daily basis, what you focus on, because now you're focused on that positive mindset, that positive and good things happen to me, and I'm surrounded with good people. If that is what you're feeding your mind with and what you're focusing on, I guarantee you the rest will follow. Second action step, look for and register for our January 2026 live event. We'll have that listed as a link in the show notes. Also, remember, as always, success equals simple habits performed consistently over time. If you focus on your foundation consistently, you won't get caught up in chasing symptoms with prescriptions or supplements or anything else, because you're building a foundation that is going to keep your body healthy. So take the foundational 4 supplements, eat real food, don't count calories or do other things that make nutrition hard, because again, it's not supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be easy and it's supposed to be fun. So don't do things that make it hard. Drink half your body weight in ounces of water on a daily basis, and make sure that that's purified water so you're not putting more toxins into your body. Move as much as you can each and every day and build workouts and walks into your routine. Do exercise snacks on a daily basis. Make sleep an absolute priority every single day by following that 10-3-2-1-0 rule, and be intentional with every single aspect of your life. Always remember, you are a leader. If you enjoyed today's podcast and found it beneficial, I want you to think about who needs to hear this message. Be a leader for them. Drop them a text and tell them to check out the Foundational Health Podcast with Dr. Kevin Schultz, episode number 37. Make 2026 your best year ever. Thank you for listening to the Foundational Health Podcast. As always, if you would like to learn more about making health your hobby, visit our website at foundationalhealth365.com and follow me on Facebook at Kevin Schultz DC Foundational Health.